Good. Okay. Welcome, everybody. I want to call the...
Two pieces or thick? It's two pieces.
One. One piece. I want to call the April 30th, 2025 meeting of the Lake Quinsigamond Commission to order. Thank you for coming. Dive right into it because someone was late. Just to let you know, this is being recorded, and by the time you see it, 'cause I don't know if we're live or not tonight, but you'll be able to watch anytime. Something, did Mark say something from the?
He said we are live.
We're live, okay. No swearing. All right. Review and act on the acceptance of the September 2024 meeting minutes.
Make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we accept the minutes as presented.
I second that motion, having read all three of them, found no mistakes.
Any comments or questions?
Should you just comment, it should be noted, October 2024, January 25th, and March, or January 2025, and March 2025 meeting minutes. Those are the minutes for approval.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry, because I got the other thing on here. This agenda I have in my hand, this is the one that says October on, that's,
March 5th, January 29th, and October 30th.
Did I leave
I got the 29th, I got the,
agenda?
thank you. Okay, thanks, Ken. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Great, okay. Review and approve of bills and expenses.
I have here a list that I got earlier of 20 bills, of which I have been informed, and I believe it's correct, that 14 of them have been paid, even though the list is contradictory, which leaves 6 that we have to vote on. One for $83.60 for the community advocate for the Lake Quinsigamond Sea drawdown notice on February 28th. And then 5 after that for TRC Environmental. If we want to separate them into 2 votes, or do them all at once.
What do you think? You have a recommendation on that?
Doesn't matter.
Either way, it's fine with me.
I'm fine. Okay, we'll do them all at once. We've got 5 for TRC Environmental, $1,985 for developed work and monitoring for the Lake Quinsigamond Commission, $1,710 to TRC Environmental for the file notice to 2 towns, $1,440 to TRC Environmental, again to file notice to 2 towns, $3,960 to TRC Environmental, again file notice for 2 towns, and $1,890 file notice for 2 towns new.
That's new?
Apparently it's a repeat of the one before, except it says it's new here.
Okay. All right, and we have an additional, what I need approval on is the contract. Newton Pond and, well, we have permit efforts going on at Newton Pond in both Shrewsbury and Boylston, and we haven't had a opportunity, well, we haven't had a DEP file number, so they can't close the hearing without the number, and we have to go back, and TRC signed up for one of those meetings, well, one of the meetings for both towns, but only one of those meetings. So now we have another meeting we got to go to. I still don't know if, I don't think Boylston has a file number, and I don't think we have a file number at all.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
So, that being said, it doesn't matter because we're not, the meetings, hopefully we'll have a file number by the time we have the meeting. This has been going on for a long time. And I think it's kind of, I don't think there's the Lake Quinsigamond Commission, I think it's a general thing that they can't get the file numbers out for some reason. So, they want another $1,500 to attend the Boylston and Grafton meeting. Total, $1,500. So, That's where we are, that's what this bill I just passed out to you is.
Yeah, that, we just saw within 2 minutes ago.
Right, well, I just found out about this yesterday, or otherwise I would have put it on the agenda, so.
Question on that.
Yeah,
This says approval for the total of 10,500, but 9,000 of that is listed as prior value. Have we voted?
yes, we voted, some of these bills
Yeah.
you said earlier
Right.
is from that.
That's the reason I'm concerned, because it looks like what we have to vote on here is the total of 10,500, which is previously listed in
Right.
some of the others.
I guess they, helpfully did the math for us, but I found that confusing as well. So we're voting on the 1,500
No.
tonight.
So then add that to the list, an additional $1,500 for two $750 change orders, one for meetings, I should say, one at Boylston Conservation Commission and one Shrewsbury Conservation Commission.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, is there a motion to accept the bills?
Make a
Was
mo-
that the motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the bills as presented.
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Public participation, anyone sign up?
Do you wanna press
Brian?
the- Lisa is unavailable today, but she's gonna come back next meeting.
Yes,
for
I talked to
same
Lisa.
discussion as
Yeah.
last time.
Okay. All right, no volunteers, okay. And commissioners' reports. Mr. Piker?
Nothing specific, Mr. Chair. It's springtime, the stock trout, the fish are biting, a lot of wildlife. People starting to kayak and row, and jet skis are out, cruising boats are out. The clarity of the water from observation looks pretty good. The water level is right up there. And at the moment, that's it, Mr. Chair.
All right, very good. Mr. Polito?
No report.
Okay. Sergeant Brad?
This weekend, we should hopefully be getting the boat in the water and begin to put buoys in place. So we'll start that process.
Nice. Is that it?
Yes, that's it.
Cool,
Okay.
excellent, excellent. Looking forward to that. It's been kind of a late season.
Yes, very late.
Yeah, for that part of it. I did notice that Worcester's boat was in Flint Pond yesterday, the little boat. So
Nice.
that was a welcome sight, and he had a jet ski pulled over, so there you go. The lone jet ski over there. I don't know if he was probably just educating him, but I hope. We have a good season. He was, Worcester having a boat over there was extremely helpful, and also Shrewsbury's jet ski was a very nice and effective addition, because, they literally did not see that coming, and probably still won't, so that's good. So thanks a lot. Hope you have a safe and boring season, to tell you the truth.
Thank you.
The guys are complaining, like, there's nothing to do out here. Okay, great. Sorry. Mr. Nelson?
Yes, as the weather has improved, as was mentioned by Mike, that kayaks and rowers are out there, but the clubs are now rowing, and with some of the water temperature, the air temperature over 90 degrees Fahrenheit, they've removed the four-oared rule. So now you can see single kayaks out on the water. They don't have to be out, at least in bigger boats, 4s or 8s, or pairs of single rowers. Indeed, the weather has been bad this year, a very late season. The first 2 weekends of cup races were canceled on the lake. The first because all the docks weren't in because the ice came out so late. And the second one because none of the schools allowed the buses to bring the rowers here because the snow was still on the roads unplowed that Saturday morning. Finally, all the cup races are over now for 4 weekends of April, and the first of the 5 big regattas starts this Saturday. And so you'll see lots of activity with heats in the morning and the finals in the early afternoon. That's about it in summary.
All right, thank you. Okay, I hope it's a good season for those guys. I had met via a Zoom call with the rowing, with the coaches for a little bit of safety meeting, and we discussed the kind of the protocol for the crew boats, and we asked them, to be aware of to not crowd the lake, not take up the whole thing, to allow boats to pass. So basically to share. And we pointed out basically my main concern is obviously is the afternoon when the high schools are out, and all the schools are out actually, and in the early morning when the colleges are out in the boat, especially on the south side of the lake. So it's we're back to the season of the rowers versus the towers. I haven't gotten too many complaints yet, so knock on wood, we'll go with that. But we're going to keep an eye on it, and I will be out there in the morning, early in the morning to make sure that everyone's adhering to the rules. Awesome. So, and Maddie, last but not least, welcome
All right.
aboard. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name's Maddie Vanderboom. I'm the Conservation Agent Assistant for the City of Worcester. I was just appointed today as the interim member for the Conservation Commission. So a little update from Worcester. We recently received a notice of intent from DCR for Regatta Point. So they're looking to install a sand filter infiltration or sand filter kind of basin right off of the parking lot there in Regatta Point to kind of help reduce the number of nutrients and stuff that are getting washed into the lake. So we did initial review the last meeting, which was Monday, and they will be coming back May 19th to discuss. They don't have DEP file number, so they weren't able to close on Monday. So they will be coming back to discuss. Happy to share plans with anyone that's interested in looking at the plans. Today was also a filing deadline for us, so we did receive a dock permit for 249 Lake Ave. So it's a single-family home looking to put a 40-foot dock off their property. So we need to still review it, and they'll likely be on the May 19th meeting. May get pushed off because DEP again, but yeah, and that's kind of what we have going on for Worcester.
All right.
Oh,
Single
yep.
question. Do you have any estimate of when the construction might begin on that settling basin?
So that's a great question. So I don't have an estimate on that. I think ideally they're probably hoping for sometime this summer, but
Oh,
I don't know.
well after the rolling season
Yeah.
is over.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
Yeah.
with the way, with the efficient manner that DEP is handling the permit numbers,
Yeah.
the file numbers, I don't think you have to
Could be-
worry about it.
Right.
I don't think you have to
Yep.
worry about it.
And ideally they are putting like a staircase down to create like a little path down to like the little beach bank area.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
Where exactly on the property is that?
So it's pretty much, you have that extended parking lot, so you pull in the parking lot, you go
Yeah.
to the left, and there's like this slanted hill down, and there's a retaining wall.
Yeah.
So it's up on that hillside that they're doing it,
Below the retaining wall or above it?
above it.
Above it.
Yep,
Yeah, that's where all of the boats on the big regattas go in and out
Oh,
for
yep.
the 5 weekends in May.
yep,
Right.
yep, so, yeah, you shouldn't have to.
You're
Shouldn't be
talking,
in the
you're
way.
talking with the boat ramp, the little boat ramp. thing.
The 2 temporary docks they put in for all
Oh,
the
they put them
aids.
off of that wall?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right, great, thank you. Okay, I don't have much, I guess, to add to that. I was excited about, I was able to attend the trout stocking on Lake Quinsigamond. It was, they basically, with a little help from, because school was out that week, so they had a lot of help, I shouldn't say a little help. There were a bunch of little helpers filling up the buckets, and the kids really have a blast doing that. And they put 1,500 pounds of trout, I think it's brown trout and
Rainbow?
rainbow, I guess, was, yeah. I'm kind of guessing on that one because I don't really remember, but it was a lot of fun, and everybody, had a thrill. The kids were putting them in, and running back up and getting them back in line, and it was pretty nice. It was pretty, pretty fun. Fish and Wildlife, they really do a good job with that. They have it all organized, it's very, and the people are there and they're helping the kids and they're kind of, educating them at the same time. And of course, there was a bunch of people standing on the beach while we were doing it with their fishing lines out, which is funny. There was no boats this time. The last time I was there, there was a bunch of boats like sitting right off the shore waiting for some unsuspecting trout to do it. So it was all fun. And I already talked about the Worcester boat being out there. The other thing I want to bring up too is we're getting a lot of notifications that there are dead geese floating in front of people's properties. And I guess the state has a rule that you have to have, they have a certain number, it's like 4 or 5 dead geese on your property before they'll come out and do anything about it. I would caution everybody, if there's a dead goose there, do not handle that thing yourself. Just keep away from it. It's likely got some kind of disease on it, so we're trying to figure out what the best way to deal with that. If you have one in your yard, let us know, and we'll have to kind of figure that part out. But, bless you. So that's that, I think, for me on that. So, moving right along. Discuss and possibly act on a request for a new dock at 136 South Quinsigamond Avenue in Shrewsbury.
Is, Mr. Senior here?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up your map, but if you just wanna do a quick explanation of what you would like. Let's see if we can. Maybe. Sergeant Bradley, I might need your help. Hold on. I am plugged in. At least thanks to my.
Oh, that's what it is.
Got it
Oh,
now.
there it is.
You
There's
did
the
it.
document.
Wow.
Don't know what we
This
did.
is
That's
like,
why.
this is like Star Wars in here,
You
okay.
did it. Awesome.
Are those on?
Yeah,
Pretty good.
cool, thanks. Yep, just name and, I know, name and address for the record.
Keith Senior, 136 South Quinsigamond Ave.
Hi.
Hi.
So he just put in a request for a new dock at his property at 136 South Quincy, Shrewsbury. Let me know if you need me to zoom in on anything. I meant to print these, but. So it says property line point to point approximately 39 feet. 5 total sections of poly deck, 5 by 10, 4 sections straight out, and 1 section will be at a T-shape at the end. Here's rough drawing and drawing. And then, just another version of the map showing the distances. And that's all I have at this point.
Okay, I'm gonna actually recuse Ken, so Mike,
Okay.
take over.
I have a question.
Oh, I have to run, chair this?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I have a comment, but I would, first of all, I guess, ask as to whether anybody else has any other comments.
Just for the record, he did go through Shrewsbury Conservation, for a whole new patio and everything. And then this is just the are you at a certificate of compliance there yet? Are you done with that part of the project? Did you have that?
So that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's a completely separate situation. I spoke with Aaliyah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I always get that wrong. And she and I have communicated via email indicating that this is a separate situation. And now I'm here, yeah.
Now, I guess I'd ask, is there any abutters to this fellow's property that are here tonight that have any issues with this? Okay. I don't know of the commission receiving any such criticisms. It's pretty long, 39 feet, but that's not too long, is it? I don't think, it's about 40 feet long, right? And then
It
the
is,
T's-
I'm sorry.
And the T sections, it's like a T.
Each part is 5 by 10, so it's 5 feet wide and 10 foot long.
Okay.
And I'm planning to come out 4 of those, so 40 feet, and then at the very cap, another 5 by 10 going
Okay.
the opposite way.
Do your neighbors at 132 or 138 have dock placements themselves?
Nothing in the water, no.
Okay, all right. Our biggest concern would be if it infringes upon your neighbors who say have a boat that would go next to a dock where it would become cumbersome for them, say it was pre-existing on their part, to now say then be able to safely dock their boat. Now, not hearing of such, then I feel comfortable with that. Any other commissioners have any other comments?
Is that over the square footage allowed by,
It's 50 square foot short,
It's
from my
less than the
understanding. It's
allowed.
250 square foot
It's less.
versus 300, which I understand it to be.
and there are no other docks next to it?
No, so next to me, 132 is a renter, so the owner doesn't ever put a dock system in. And then the other side is a single-family home with a husband and wife and 2 young children, and they've never had a dock in the water.
The only thing, I'm just looking at the picture, it looks like it's oriented at an angle. I know this is just a picture, and it looks like it's going over your property line on that.
The upper level
side.
part of the T?
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. So, I had to do that with a mouse, so it's not perfect. But my property line, as far as I understand, it is, I thought I had 30 foot of frontage, but when I did it on here, point to point, it was showing 39.5, but let's call it 30 foot. That's what I understand it to be. So, again, the docks are 5 by 10, so that T section is gonna be 10 feet across. And I'm gonna put it dead center of my property line. So I'll have 15 feet one way and 15 feet another from dead center, which if we put 10 feet on that and I have 30 feet across, I'd have 10 feet on one side and 10 feet on the other from either end, if that makes sense.
So therefore, you're gonna put it perpendicular to the shore, not like it's drawn there?
The background map is not, it's a rough estimate. So if he says it's gonna be a 90, but coming straight out, I would take his word over that map.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it coming straight out off of my property.
Perpendicular to the shore.
Yes,
Okay,
So we can just make a condition that it's centered within your
it will be
30-foot
centered, yep,
width of your lot.
yes.
any other comments, questions, or concerns?
No.
Maddie?
So I was wondering, can you just describe like how the dock will be built? Are there any footings or anything like that? Is it seasonal, you're pulling out every year?
So I brought the booklet. It's a poly dock system that I'm gonna be using, and there's nothing to be built. It's, each section is just one piece. There's no, nothing to go under it to keep it afloat. And as I understand it, there's gonna be 4 posts. 4 posts that are gonna kind of keep this dock in place. So, as far as, it would be like these type of posts. So as far as I understand it, and would probably want it to be done, is at the very base, so basically where my wall is, I'd want 2 of those posts. And as you guys all may be aware, when we drain the water come winter time, those posts will be secured, not in any sort of water, not in any ice danger. And then the other 2 posts, again, you know, I'm gonna have to go at the guidance of who installs this for me, who I bought it from. But the other 2 would just go, you know, further out towards the end of this setup. Not necessarily the T, but probably right in the corners of where the T would start. And those would be in the water, those would be in the ice. And that would be my kind of hope and expectation for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
What is the material of the dock?
It's I don't know the exact material. I could probably find it in here, but
Plastic.
it's a plastic type.
With aluminum frame?
No. They're really nice. I mean, if you guys wanna flip through this.
Are the posts aluminum? I think is part of the.
The posts are aluminum.
Ah, I got you.
So
So-
those posts, you take those out in the winter, you pull them up, so they're not in the ice? How does that work? Does the post support the dock itself? Or is the dock floating?
The dock's floating.
So those posts just for stabilization purposes during,
Keep it in place.
so probably you would, I'm just surmising, probably you would lift those up in the winter months so that the ice wouldn't catch that and pull the dock wherever,
That could be done, yes.
right? Okay.
So, the material apparently is plastic with aluminum posts, so there's no pressure-treated wood of any kind involved.
No wood at all. The only other, you know, material would be the hardware to connect them. Your typical hardware.
Any other comments, questions, or concerns? If there's none, I'd like to accept a motion as to whether we accept this.
I make a
Dock.
motion, we issue a dock permit for 136 South Quinsigamond Ave with the condition that the dock be centered within the lot, 30-foot wide lot, so it would be in the center of the lot, and at the manufacturer's specifications, probably remove those posts during the winter months, if that's what's recommended.
Anybody want a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor then?
Aye.
Aye.
Alrighty, all set?
Set.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll cash your check.
That's the important part.
So I'm good to install, yeah, thank you.
Okay, so item number 8 is discuss and possibly act on a clarification of the application for a new dock. So, in discussions with the city, actually, that we, I'm sorry, I meant to pass these out. Let's pass one down here. Probably a good time, you know, to start thinking about updating our rules in general, because there's some things that could just need some fleshing out. But also, on the dock permits, it is kind of confusing the way that they have it written. But I don't know if anyone has the actual rules. We have, well, you don't have the actual application page. But basically, a residential dock is defined as a dock used, owned, and maintained by the landowning abutter. And that, you know, it's used for the docking, mooring, or storage in any manner of a vessel. So just to clarify on that, you know, we add some text on there that said that the dock used, owned, and maintained by the landowning abutter of Lake Quinsigamond from which it extends for the docking, mooring, or storage in any manner of any vessel of any type or description that is owned by the same landowning abutter. And, you know, that other language about the same landowning abutter and that the abutter has to be on Lake Quinsigamond was not in the application process. It's basically in our rules, and that's always the way we've interpreted it throughout the years, and at least as long as I've been here and before that. So that really hasn't changed, you know, in any material way from what's on the application now. The commercial dock, though, was not defined as a residential, well, it is a residential dock, and it is basically the same thing, you have to be the landowning abutter. So the confusion lies is, you know, do you have to be the landowning abutter to put a commercial dock out? Or if someone was renting the dock or letting someone use their dock, do they have to pull the permit, or does the person using the dock pull the permit? So it's been our understanding, and I've talked to some people who have been on the commission longer than I have, that in fact is the case, that you have to be the landowning abutter, and the landowning abutter is responsible for taking the permit out. You can rent your dock if you want, it's just becomes a commercial dock, which basically, you know, just costs more. You know, you have to, it's $100, it's about probably twice the fee. $110, about twice the fee as a residential dock. That shouldn't be a burden for anybody renting a dock on Lake Quinsigamond, because you can probably get way more money than that if you rent out your dock. So that is just to make sure that we don't open this up and people are just like putting docks willy-nilly along the shores of Lake Quinsigamond. We do have an issue on the Worcester side regarding the docks that have been over there for as long as I can remember, to be honest, and
It's North Lake Ave?
the well, that's partly the North Lake Ave docks. So, but, you know, we have enforced this rule. This rule would also cover right-of-ways if you're not a landowning abutter. So because you have a right-of-way, which is what all the people up in the Natural History Park have as access to the lake, that does not give them the distinction of being the landowning abutter. The landowning abutter in that particular strip of property is the city. So, but we've, you know, we had a long discussion, if you recall, at Suntag Road, at two different right-of-ways on Lake Quinsigamond since I've been dealing with it. And one of them, they were just, you know, they had a pass-repass right-of-way, and there was nothing in the deed about being allowed to put a dock there, and we asked them to remove the dock. And then the second one off of South Quinsig, they had a right-of-way in their deed, but that right-of-way did in fact define that they could put a dock there. So that one, we did not order them to take that out. You know, I don't know what the resolution for the North Lake Ave folks is going to be, except that in some manner that the city needs to work out some kind of ownership of, I don't know whether they leased it, I don't know how they're going to do that. We're still trying to figure that out, I guess. But the bottom line here is that, you know, all the rules have to be consistent and uniformly applied to everyone on the lake and to everyone who has a dock. I know that there are docks out there that are on right-of-ways that we have not addressed, and, you know, I don't plan on proactively going after them because we have so much other stuff to do, and we are volunteers. If a dock that's on a right-of-way comes before the commission, you know, then we definitely will address it if there's any issues with that, but, you know, I just wanted to make sure that this part of it was clarified. So when the people in conservation have to look at this stuff, that's one of the questions that they ask is, you know, are you the landowning abutter for that particular piece of property? Because the way it was written before, you could interpret that to being, well, you just have to be a landowning abutter. And you can put your dock, you know, on someone else's property. So that is not the case. And typically, when you look at it the way that the state in Chapter 91, at least, looks at a dock, they extend the lines out from the property line, kind of an imaginary thing out into the water body. No private party owns any water out, you know, beyond the high water mark in front of their property on Lake Quinsigamond. So you don't own any water in front of there. You don't have any more rights to the front of that water as anyone else who could be walking on the shore. So But we used, they used the lines to kind of demark. So as the discussion you just heard, no one's dock's kind of sticking, and, the lines, because there's, inlets and curves and all this other stuff. So sometimes the lines are misleading. And, that you can kind of get in front of someone else's waterfront and pretty quickly if you're not careful. So that's the explanation of why I'm asking for, to include this rule onto the updated application form. Or to include this clarification of the guidance on the application of, how you have to, who has to apply for the permit. Any comments, questions?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have a tangential question. Both of the, and I'll address both of them, the
I have to- I
residential
just have to
dock and
look up
commercial at the
tangential.
same time. Both of them essentially say that a dock is defined for the docking, mooring, or storage in any manner of a vessel of any type or description. So to me, that implies if someone then could put a dock in and just use it because it's cooler out over the water and they sit out there in their lawn chairs, or they put a dock in so their kids can swim from it. What do we call those? If we, according to this description, it's only a dock if it's used for the mooring or storage in some manner of a vessel of any type.
I don't know, that's a good question. I think in the past, and there are docks that are just swim docks on Lake Quinsigamond, and they don't have a vessel on. Certainly the potential to put a vessel on any dock that's out there, but, we could revise that to say, a dock used for swimming or anything else. Every dock has to have a permit.
Yeah,
And that's how we've really treated it.
That's why I said this is a tangential question. I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure that all docks are included under this, not just those who are used for, mooring a boat attached.
Okay, yep. Fair point.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
I thought those swim platforms or those floating, I don't know what you call them.
Swim platforms.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
floating,
a floating dock.
those aren't allowed to be
Correct.
stayed up, they're supposed to be taken in.
Right.
When not in use, they're not supposed to be out.
No.
Correct. So,
Those are you're talking about the detached floating in the middle ones.
Right.
He's talking about the ones just
But,
installed like in regular.
To Ken's point, that's a good thing. And even if those things are being pulled in and out away from the challenge with Lake Quinsigamond is it's skinny. So if you have a bunch of swim platforms, bobbing up around the lake, I think one of our commissioners at one point called them lily pads, because they were popping up all over the place, especially the
Inflatable ones.
inflatable ones. That trend seems to have gone away because people were spending like $1,200 for those things, and they'd pop in like, 2 seasons. So I think they kind of gave up on them. But, certainly that would present navigational hazards, which is another thing that when approving a dock, you got to look at that. And we've had those issues, especially on the northern section of the lake, north of the Burns Bridge, where, it's so slim across there that, you're putting anything out in the water past, 60 feet or so is just going to be in the way. So you have to be careful of that. And it's not even safe for swimming. Honestly, it's not a good place to be out there bobbing around. So there's that, but they should be pulled in. If you do put them out there, you can use them for a little bit and then pull the things back into you do not leave them out there. And they also need to have a plate on it. So I guess, we could describe a dock as a dock of any use.
Just a side comment on that, from my understanding, and this isn't a legal definition by any sense, but basically, an anchored object out in the water that people swim out to and jump and dive off of is generally in Massachusetts referred to in most legal documents as a raft.
Raft,
where a
so
dock
swim raft,
is
you're right.
usually
Yep.
referred to something that has a pathway to
Yep.
shore where you do not have to get wet get from the shore to
Right.
the object.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions?
I guess. Can I just, clarification on the commercial docks, so you're looking for, so it's a landowner, a budding landowner that has to file for the permits. Do you guys care about the people who are leasing or renting, using the docks?
No.
Like, you don't want that information? No.
No, I mean, you know, the homeowner's gonna be on the hook for insurance. You know, the reason you look at this, Matty, is because when if the renters don't always have, they don't always take ownership of stuff. So, they decide, okay, my lease is up and I'm out of here, see you later. They leave a dock in the water. This is certainly an issue at North Lake Ave, because there's stuff in there that's just dangerous. And, so you have an old wooden dock, and the thing's kind of dilapidated and hanging in the water, there is one over at North Lake Ave right now that's doing that. And they just abandon the thing. And then all of a sudden, the ice takes it one spring, and now it's floating around. And especially if it didn't have a float on it, or the float's broken, the thing is basically going to be, just the top of it's going to be on top of the water. Which if you're riding in your boat, cruise shell, you're not going to be able to see it. So you'll understand where it is the second you make contact with it, and that's bad if you're a water skier, or it's bad if it's your boat. Certainly in a shell, those aren't very robust vessels typically, so it doesn't take much to pop it. And you got 9 high school kids strapped into the thing. So it's not, and some masters too, and that discounting
Yes,
your
I
life
have some.
value, but
I have sung, even
Yeah.
in February, when we're hitting an iceberg, and it's not pleasant.
yeesh. Ooh, that's a bad time to sink. So, so that's kind of where we're trying to, eliminate that. The landowner is going to be responsible, should be responsible for whatever structures they have out there and to maintain it. And, and that's one of the things that you look at when you go, he brought in his brochure for PolyDock, which is a nice system, and, it's made of good quality, and, it's not something, because it's probably expensive, and it's not something you're going to just leave out there and take off. So that's kind of what it doesn't say you can't build stuff out of wood, but it's still, if you do it, it can't be a bunch of skids and, old stuff just kind of slapped together. But just, basically the thing of this was to clarify that the commercial dock has the same rule from the landowning and butter perspective as a residential dock. So we can add these other stuff on there just to make sure that, that also includes any dock, even if it doesn't have a boat on it, that, is a residential dock. So we can say a dock used, owned, and maintained by landowning and butter for any purpose, including, but not limited to, docking, mooring, or storage.
Including swimming, fishing, sitting on.
Yeah.
That sort of, et
Standing
cetera.
on.
Any purpose.
I would just say any purpose, because, someone's gonna say, well, it doesn't say I can't go out there and drink on it. Right?
No.
So, all right,
And can I ask a general question for applications?
sure.
Like, so for new docks, do you guys require that they prove that they have insurance on the dock or anything like that, or is it?
We haven't, I don't think.
Does dock insurance, is that a thing?
What's that?
Question, if
Sorry.
it's on the property,
If it's on the,
I would question first looking at what the homeowner's policy says.
right,
Yeah, I mean, I have a dock in front of my house. It's expensive, and, it's insured.
okay,
I take it out in the winter.
right,
I will say, because he was talking about, well, it's just not going to be, all those, the first set of posts are not going to be in the water during the drawdown. I had a dock that stuck out 10 feet, and I kept it on the wall, and I put a set of stairs in the thing, so in the wintertime, I could sit on there, and we could put our skates on and then go out on the ice. And literally, there was 1.5 feet or 2 feet of land in between my dock and the water. And March comes along, and the ice is moving, and, I saw it in the morning, and I leave, and I go about my day, and I come home, and my dock is bent. The ice came in, right? And it came in, and I didn't see it happen, but I'm just imagining because of the way it looked like. But it came in, and there was a berm in front of the dock leg. the two legs. And it must have come in and hit the, hit the bottom, pushed the gravel up, because that's the natural bottom of Lake Quinsigamond, and bent my dock back a foot. I was working for a dock company at that time, so I can't tell you how embarrassing it was to bring that dock in and say, yeah, the ice got my dock. That's a rookie mistake. But, so you have to be careful. The ice is powerful, and you can't discount the fact that anything can happen, and you never know which way the wind's gonna blow, and nothing could be in there for 20 years and nothing ever happens to it, and then 1 year, it blows like it's blowing today, and there's ice cap moving, nothing's gonna stop it. It'll take out a wall. Took out a bridge in the Niagara River one time, a highway bridge. So, it's powerful stuff. The hydraulic force is incredible. But that's, we're trying to make the dock safe. And I don't really want to take anybody's privileges away or their access to the pond and having a good time and all that. But, we have to manage it in a certain way, or else it will, we have renters, people renting jet skis on the lake when they're not supposed to do without permission and permits from us. So people will do stuff, and I'm just imagining, especially on the Worcester side, moorings popping up and this happening and that happening, and it'll get out of control quick. So that's that. So if we change the wording to any, a dock for extends for any purpose, including but not limited to docking, mooring, or storage in any manner. Or any purpose, you can just put any purpose. I mean, whatever you're using it for. And take out the docking and mooring.
For any
That covers.
purpose.
What's that?
Yeah,
Okay, on the commercial dock, I guess we should define, if well,
rented, leased, or
I'm
used in
sorry.
any manner.
We should leave docking, mooring, or storage in any manner of a vessel, because that relates to the next part of the guidance, which is basically has to be owned, on a residential dock, has to be owned by the same landowning abutter. In other words, the boat has to be owned by the same person who owns the dock. It has to be registered to that
The
person.
minimum change is just replace the word for, so it's now says a dock used, owned, and maintained by the land, not landing, land.
Yeah,
That needs
Oh.
to be changed, okay. A dock used, owned, and maintained by the landowning abutter of Lake Quinsigamond, from which it extends for any purpose, including the docking, mooring, or storage in any manner of a vessel of any type of description that is owned by the same landowning abutter. That says it all, a minimum change.
okay. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
And then we can include that same language down on the commercial one.
Right, exactly, they have to be the same.
All right, and we'll include a swim raft, including swim rafts, which,
I don't know if you get into that on this
That's
matter.
another
I think we
issue
should keep that
completely.
separate.
we'll just
Yeah,
keep that separate,
separate.
we'll make it a separate
I
thing.
think
anyway.
they're-
Okay, I agree.
I think they're not allowed anyway.
No,
in
Right,
our
so
rules.
it-
They're not allowed.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't address it then.
All right.
They're not allowed, they're not allowed.
Not gonna, so, okay, fine, all right,
I think this is simple enough, the way you have it.
and we're trying to keep it simple,
Yep.
all right, okay.
Yeah,
So
the
you're looking
floating
for-
raft out in the
Are you
middle of the
looking-
lake, getting in the way of every water skier, rower, or sailboat, or what, is a separate issue that needs to be addressed in a little more detail.
Yeah, but they're not allowed, Bill. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
against the rules to have that.
So, okay,
Are
cool,
we looking for a motion or anything, Mr.
yes.
I'd
Looking
like
for-
to make a motion relative to the discussion in terms of the change of wording relative to residential dock and commercial dock usage, that we accepted as edification of that which we've had heretofore.
Second.
All right, any questions, comments before we move on to the vote? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then, lake management plan, update on Lake Quinsigamond drawdown and Newton Pond, I guess that's old news. Drawdown is done. The lake is back up to normal pool and then some. And, you know, it seems pretty healthy. It seems like it came back up. It was a little nerve-wracking there. So that came up well, as it turns out. And the only other thing we talked about is Newton Pond, which is an ongoing permit issue. I'm gonna kind of defer some stuff to Katie, because she has some, you know, there's some efforts on the, from the Worcester Lakes and Ponds as well. We are looking to, again, I'll kind of let her flesh this out if she so chooses, but, you know, we are reaching out to the MESA people or Natural Heritage to, we had permission last year to do a dash treatment in the areas that we have rare plants and we want to treat the vegetation. That would be specifically in what they call Management Zone B. So, you know, the rare part of, where the rares are in Management Zone B is right in the Old Faith Road Cove there, right south of the Stringer Dam and Round Pond, or the beginning of Flint Pond, depending on how you want to define that water body, but it's right there, kind of a little bit past their docks. And then in Half Moon Bay. So the last time we did a survey in Half Moon Bay, though, we did not find the rare. We found a narrow-leaved Potamogeton, but we did not find a rare in there. You know, Natural Heritage still declared it a habitat and would not let us, well, they actually, at that point, after that survey, they let us do a pilot with Procyllicor, which we did, and it was very successful. We were effective on getting rid of the milfoil that was there, and we did not kill the rare. So that was you know, it tells us that, you know, Procyllicor is a good thing. And I know that they used Procyllicor on Indian Lake, which was also very effective there. So that said, you know, Procyllicor does not do anything, is my understanding of this, to fanwort.
Yeah, it's not effective.
Not effective on fanwort. So, you know, what's been happening to us and what happened in Flint Pond, you know, last decade was that, you know, we did eradicate the milfoil out of Flint Pond. And, you know, and fanwort popped up in its place. And at the time, we only had approvals for one kind of chemical, which is diquat, which is only effective on milfoil. So that was one of the reasons that sparked us into making our treatment regime or our treatment options more dynamic. So we weren't stuck like that. And we continue to move forward. Procyllicor, we were able to add on to the list thanks to the Worcester Concom and Grafton Concom and the Shrewsbury Concom. So, you know, we are approved for that through the Concom, but not through Natural Heritage. So we're still going back and forth. I'm hoping that we can get some kind of approval of either Procyllicor or dash treatment. I would prefer Procyllicor unless there is a strong crop of fanwort in the area, because it's, even though it's a little bit pricey, it's a lot less pricey than and timely than dash. My fear is that, you know, we keep you know, can't get any file numbers out of DEP. That's a problem, because, you know, we have a window that we can treat do treatments on. So we can treat in Zone A, which is down Oakland Ave, all the way to the Route 9 bridge, basically, and I think it's a little past Ramshorn, because we can treat in Ramshorn, we can treat in front of the pump house.
Zone B starts at Kings Point.
So it starts at Kings Point. So Zone A is all the way from the you know, West Main Street in Shrewsbury to Kings Point. And then that's Zone B, and that's kind of hands-off right now, except, you know, we're hoping to get at least a dash treatment in. And we're allowed to pull things by hand. So if you can, like we did, you know, there was a fair crop of water chestnut in both Old Faith Cove and in that same area in Round Pond, right past Sunset Beach. So we are able to go in there and hand pull and do those kind of things, but they were, they didn't want to hit in the rear. And then that, Zone B extends all the way to basically the northern side of the Route 20 bridge, and then it's Zone C after that, and we're clear to go. Because it's not, whatever chemicals we use aren't going to go upstream. So that's been safe for us. So we've been effective, but even last year, trying to get the permits out and get things started and award the bids was extremely challenging. And we've taken steps by, hiring our ACE administrative assistant to help us with those kind of issues, and certainly with the help of the Worcester Lakes and Ponds program, we're hoping to make the treatment schedule way more effective and executable. So that's
Number 11, Mr. Chair.
number 11 is update from, speak of the devil, from Katie Liming, Lakes and Ponds Coordinator, City of Worcester, Department of Sustainability, Resilience, Lakes and Ponds Program. You must have like a big business card with all that whole title on there.
Yes, well, good evening. I'm Katie Liming, the Lakes and Ponds Coordinator for the City of Worcester. And as the chair mentioned, we're working on figuring out the easiest way to address invasive species on the lake this year. Communication with Natural Heritage revealed some sort of breakdown of communication from the prior year. So they either had lost or had not received one of the work plans for the invasive or the native plant, the rare plant survey from last year. But since that documentation is available, hopefully there's not going to be any issues this year. The lack of management effort last year, as we've previously talked about, was more due to a need for greater administrative support for the commission. So I'm thrilled to find out that some of that support is going to be now improved and augmented. So that's great. So I'll look forward to continuing to support the commission and doing as much as I can to help facilitate that management going forward. Let me just pull up my notes here.
Cyanobacteria,
Yes. Just in general, or?
Saturday. It starts Saturday.
Yes, thanks, Alyssa. So one of my updates is including the Worcester Cyanobacteria Monitoring Collaborative. Most of you are quite familiar with it at this point, but for anyone listening online who's not, our community volunteer science group who helps monitor surface waters, recreational waters for cyanobacteria and potential public health risk. We're so excited that we had a great response to our call for volunteers this year, and so we're actually adding sites to Lake Quinsigamond. Newton Pond and Jordan Pond will continue to be monitored, and this year we're also going to be monitoring Regatta Point, Kings Point, Flint Pond, and hopefully Sunset Beach. We have preliminary approval from Sunset Beach to allow access through their property for a volunteer, just waiting to cross the T's and dot the I's on that. So we're so grateful for that outpouring of support from our volunteers. For additional water quality monitoring, our in-house water quality monitoring program has kicked off this week. We'll be on Lake Quinsigamond next week, and we'll be collecting data four times a month, twice on the lake, twice in tributaries each month through the end of October. The next update, there is still time to order a discounted rain barrel through the Great American Rain Barrel Company's program with a discounted bulk distribution event facilitated by our program. So that closes on Sunday. Rain barrels are a great way to save water and reduce the impacts of stormwater to the lake. So you can visit the greatamericanrainbarrel.com/community and look for Worcester, Massachusetts to sign up for through our program, you have to pre-order it by Sunday and then pick it up on the 15th of May between 5 and 7 p.m. at the Blackstone Heritage Corridor Visitor Center. And so taking advantage of that bulk shipping rate is how you're able to secure a discount on the cost. So no sales or no profit is made by the city. It's all a community outreach program. I have previously shared about the city's contracting of 2 particle separators, one to be installed at Pinecrest Road and one to be installed on Suntag Road. Those projects are proceeding. Test pits have been done. Additional constraints were identified with one of the sites, so we're working on adjusting the specific plans for that. So as of this point, we don't have dates to share about exactly when those projects will be put in the ground, but expecting for some time this summer. And as soon as we have those dates officially scheduled, I'll let the commission know as well. The Massachusetts, a couple of departments from the state have published a draft Massachusetts Guide to Lake Management. So this is very exciting because it is the first update to the overall Guide to Lake Management in over 20 years. The last one was published in 2002 or 2004, I believe. And so this is an update with newer science and on management methods that have been used for decades and some new management methods as well. So there's a draft version of that available on the DCR Lakes and Ponds program page. And comments are due by May 15th. There are some proposed permitting changes. My hope is that they will ultimately result in streamlined permitting, but have to see exactly what gets put in the final document. So if you're interested, if you're really interested in lake management, highly encourage that as an opportunity to learn more. One additional update, I've spoken with the commission before about our watershed planning project. We've named it Project Blue Worcester. Always helps to have a snappy name to help folks remember. So this project is focused on identifying the volume of key pollutants, principally phosphorus, where they come from, and then what we can do to address them. We're looking at Tatnuck Brook, Millbrook, and the Quinsigamond watershed, including the entire Quinsigamond watershed, not just the portion that is in the city of Worcester. So many thanks to all of you who came out to the Quinsigamond watershed workshop last week. We got some really great input and a great turnout. We had over 20 people in person and about 10 or 15 people online. So very thankful for all of that engagement. The critical next step in this project is receiving observations and survey reports submitted from the people who know the watershed best, which are those who live here or who recreate here as well. So we're looking for observations of erosion, places where waterfowl have congregated, or degraded culverts or storm basins, things like that, because that could indicate a potential source of polluting nutrients. We have a couple different ways to submit observations like that. Detailed instructions will be posted on the Lakes and Ponds program webpage tomorrow or Friday. You can submit observations through the link tinyurl.com/quinsig-survey. That link will also be on the Lakes and Ponds general program webpage, so you don't have to remember it. But you're also welcome just to email me simply. If you have any additional questions about this project, would love to discuss in greater detail. And we're looking for those observations submitted by June 1st to allow our consultant to review them and then figure out where the hot spots are, and they'll send out engineers to do even more detailed analysis, and then everything will get wrapped up into the final plan. I did notice from the agenda tonight that the Worcester commissioner seat is vacant. So I was wondering if there's an application process for that I could share with the stakeholders that we work with.
Well,
definitely help you through that.
Okay,
process.
excellent.
Yep,
Excellent.
as I just went through myself.
Sure, okay, that's great. And then my last note is just about the water chestnut polls that the Lakes and Ponds program, Newey Pick, Worcester State University, City of Worcester Parks Department, and all spearheaded by the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association, will be hosting. I believe we have some additional details about those coming up, though. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have anything. Thank you for sitting tight through my long list of updates. Yes.
The 2 automated buoys you sometimes put in the lake for measuring, or in Indian Pond, continuously, will they be in the same locations as previous years? I'm always asked that by the rowers.
What was that second part?
Oh, I'm always asked where they are by the rowers.
Okay, yes. We have deployed them on Indian Lake and Co's reservoir. We did one last Friday, one the Friday before that. So we're in the midst of doing that now. We might have to wait until July to deploy the second Quinsigamond buoy because I need funds to buy a new actual buoy since one got likely hit last year. As far as location, I haven't completely nailed that down. I don't think we will deploy near Lake Park again because that is probably too big of an interest point for swimmers and could potentially cause some confusion there. So I'm interested in still deploying one close to the Ramshorn Islands and Lake Ave pump station. We've had one in that location for a couple years, so it's A, an important location, and B, nice to have more consistent data over the years. For the second location, I would be really interested to deploy in either like zone B or zone C, because those are the areas of the lake that we are tending to see more and more cyanobacteria activity, which is the whole purpose of the buoys. So with that, do you have any specific suggestions in those areas?
No, no specific suggestions.
Okay.
The questions I get are more from people worried about hitting them.
Yeah, he
rather
just wants to
than,
get them out of the way.
what they're detecting.
Okay. I suppose the answer is for rowers, one will be close to the Lake Ave pump station. It's usually probably not in the way because we tuck it a little bit behind the outcropping on that southern side. And if we're able to find a good spot in either maybe Half Moon Cove, Old Faith Bay, or somewhere along there, or possibly Flint Pond, I don't expect that would be a risk to rowers either.
Okay, thank you.
You all done?
Yes.
Oh, so Katie, just a question. Last year, did Worcester Lakes and Ponds treat in Zone A?
We didn't, not last year. The treatment was done in 2023.
2023?
Yeah, we did a follow-up survey of the same area, of the same treatment area. We did a survey to look for regrowth. And we found that it was the northernmost section right by Gouch Park. We found a little bit of regrowth, but all the rest of the areas seemed like it was pretty effective, and we didn't find any evidence of regrowth at that time.
So on the north side, the place that you hit with that was kind of Gouch Park and in front of Oakland Ave. Did you go to the, did it go west to the Worcester side? Like kind of
Yes.
parallel with the bridge?
The
That
2023
little basin
treatment?
right there? Yeah, the treatment you did.
So there were, I believe there were a couple different kind of patches of treatment that were done.
Okay.
Maybe as many as 5 or 6 different patches. I'll have to take a look
It
back
kind
at
of
the map.
encompassed that area, is that?
What's that, sorry?
It kind of encompassed that area in front of Oakland Ave, in between like the 290 bridge and all the houses on the bank.
I'll have to check the map from the
Okay.
treatment to be absolutely sure. but I think so.
Okay.
But I'll be happy to follow up on that
I just
specific.
recall, like, when you were doing it, that's kind of where, because that seemed to be where they were growing,
Okay.
was in that little spot over there.
Yeah, I believe Jacqueline designed the treatment based on the previous plant map, possibly, or a
Could have been, yeah.
pre-treatment plant
Because we
map.
did one there was obviously stuff there, because
Sure.
I was out with, it was, I forgot their name at that point, but who TRC was before they were TRC. I went out with them and did that, so we could see what they were doing. They pulled up, they pulled up the thing, and, oh, this is milfoil. That was the first time I personally saw a water chestnut, was in that area right there.
Okay.
So, okay, that was just for my own edification.
Sure. Any
Anything
other
else?
questions?
Any questions or comments? All right,
Great, thank you.
great job as always, thank you, Katie. So, number 12, update from representative of the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association. One quick thing, Barb, before we do this, I also wanted to stress, I think, the importance of the watershed planning process, that that is exactly what we need to do things, and I'm excited that we're gonna get the source. I will say, a little proud that the comment from the consultant at that point was that we were absolutely, I think he determined that it's the richest input that he had gotten in the process that he had doing, because we were the last ones, right? Yeah.
Lots of great comments.
Yeah, so everyone seemed to know like where the issues were, and I think that that's a testament that we've been paying attention to this all through and we did our own testing, and this has been a focus for us for a while. So I think that kind of brought us with the Watershed Association and with the commission and Lakes and Ponds, what's important on Lake Quinsigamond as far as finding out what's coming in and what's, where it's coming from. Sorry, go ahead, Barb.
Hello, I'm Barbara Kickham with the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association. And yes, I want to, this kind of goes in and out. I want to add on to the watershed-based plan, the importance of that. Katie was asking for people to give their input, and wherever they see any erosion, any, problems that are, going to enter the lake. This plan, we're going to get dozens and dozens of locations, right, on Lake Quinsig, but we're going to pick the top 10 or 12 and actually put some shovel in the ground, some stormwater retrofits, and really do some positive things for the lake. So it's really important that everybody gives their input. And it also will help Katie with getting grants in the future. There's certain grants you have to have a watershed-based plan. So it's really great that they're stepping forward and doing that and paying for the consultant. So I had a question from a resident about the renewal applications. Are they coming out, and are we going to extend the deadline? Are those out yet?
They just got sent out,
Okay.
and it's up, I know it says May 31st, but it's up to them if they want to extend it a little bit.
Just because there's a late fee.
TBD.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I guess I'll throw that out there. I didn't think about that, but, so, we were kind of late getting, and kind of to clarify this, when we went to, one of the things that, law enforcement has been doing most of the administrative work on the actual dock permits, so you send your check in, and Cindy Fahey over there, who's done an excellent job over the years of doing this, would process the application and send the stickers out. They've asked that they get kind of relieved of that duty. When Cindy was first assigned to it, I think it was by Wayne, but, she had less responsibility at that time than she does now. So, Chief Anderson would say, hey, is there any way we can kind of shift this over? So we made a move to do that and to take that whole process over. But it took a while. We had to get the records. We had to get all the lists. The database wasn't compatible with anything else, so that was That's still kind of ongoing. And so the goal is to kind of make that as streamlined as possible, and hopefully, I don't think that's going to happen this season, but to hopefully get that online so you can just, you don't have to send your check and you can pay online, you can do all the application process and kind of make it a little bit easier for you to do that, modernize it, if you will. But we did get the stuff that we needed, so we can send out the sticker, send out the letter, and then, follow up with the stickers after that. So it did get us out of the barn a little late. That said, it may be prudent to extend the May 31st deadline of getting the dock, so, because it's not really the residents' fault that they're not going to get it in there by May 31st necessarily, because we're about a month or so late getting it out. So I don't know if that's something we need to vote on, or what the pleasure of the board is on
I'd
that.
like to extend it a month,
Yeah,
And then in June.
June 30,
to the June 30.
June 31st, whatever it is. Whatever it is.
Any comments or questions? All right.
It seems the fair thing to do.
All right. And we already voted on it, we're not going to go up in the fee, so that's good. All right, so is there a motion?
Make a motion, we extend the deadline to June 30th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect, okay. Thank you for bringing that up,
Okay. Yeah.
Barbara.
Okay, I will continue with information about the weed pull. We were contacted by New England Interstate Water Pollution Control Commission, or NUIPIC, and they offered us a grant again for the next 2 years. We actually didn't want it, but couldn't turn it down. So Katie's really stepped forward to help us. Mike, Liberty, and I organized the weed pull, and we also are getting help from the students at Lake Quinsigamond. They said they would get volunteers and really help us organize with all the, paperwork and stuff. We got the insurance, so the last time I announced we didn't have any money last month, and I got one resident sent in a check for $100 to help with the weed pull. I since contacted them, but he said to keep the money. But people were interested in keeping it going. The money will pay for if we need bags, gloves, snacks. We're going to be composting this year, not putting them in bags. Katie was persistent and prevailed, and it's going to go to Wheelabrator. We're going to dry it out and then take it to Wheelabrator for the ash landfill. So that's great, because it just seemed unfortunate to put all the weeds in plastic bags and then take them to be burnt. So we may or may not need a dumpster to hold them. We might get away without that, but there's costs. We're getting kayaks from the city and probably Worcester State with canoes. Alyssa helped with that. And if we still need some for whatever reason, we'll rent them for Regatta Point, and we'll be able to cover that. So that's great news. The 2 dates for the weed pulls are June 28th and July 19th, and it'll be 9 to noon. And we'll be getting more information out about trying to get our volunteers and that whatnot.
You said 7/19.
Yes, July 19th and June 28th. So we're just going to do 2.
Are they all at
We're going to
Couch
focus
Park?
on, we're going to focus because that's where the big problem is. And then going to put on Facebook and in our email listserv to tell the residents around Sunset Beach and the southern end to just do the few that they see so we can, keep up the good work. But last year we had a pull after work and we literally had just a handful. But you do have to keep up with it. So we'll try to get people to follow up in their neighborhoods or, in front of their coves. Okay, and the other thing I wanted to report on was we finally got the results back from our human DNA testing that we did last summer. And it was a little dubious, but what happened was we ended up getting a positive human DNA result from Fitzgerald Brook, but the duplicate at Coal Mine Brook also got a positive human DNA. So it kind of puts a question exactly like the quantity and whatever, and it's not something we could take to court, for example, but it does show that there was, in fact, some amount of human DNA in the water on the date we sampled last August. It was a very low amount, which indicates it's not a continuous source, that it is either a small amount that discharged or an amount that discharged some time ago and had flushed and had dissipated. But it was present at those at least Fitzgerald Brook. So we have talked to Katie about that, and the city is doing some additional bacteria monitoring up in Fitzgerald Brook, and they're continuing to work with the DPW and see if there's any illegal connections or anything like that. So just wanted to give you the result on that. And
Quick question, it was Coal Mine Brook, and what was the second brook?
Fitzgerald Brook.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was the actual sample at Fitzgerald Brook, and then at Coal Mine Brook, we took a sample and a duplicate for QA/QC, and only the duplicate at Coal Mine Brook had a result. So it kind of questions the result at that location, but we feel that it's indicating that there's something very small, perhaps, but worth pursuing.
Was the DNA, or I know it's a small amount, was it in proportion to the bacteria that was present, or is it?
I can't really speak to that.
Yeah.
So they put it in terms of what the recovery was on the QA/QC, and it was like 0.3% of the laboratory QA/QC of the recovery when they put in actual DNA and then recover it back. So it was a very small amount. So I don't think so. We had fairly high bacteria that day. It was it's on my phone. I forgot my phone at my seat, but it was in the hundreds, I believe, at that location.
So probably,
Yeah, so-
probably not.
Probably, yeah, it was higher regular bacteria.
okay.
Yeah, and we had a couple thousand at some locations that day. It was a very, very hot day, but it had not recently rained. So,
Okay, thank you.
okay. Any other questions? All right.
Questions, comments?
Okay. Thank you.
Super good, thanks, Barb. Okay, so the next one is
Correspondence?
correspondence.
I'll go stand up so Mark can see me.
Oh, good, you got it?
I'll stand this one. So, first, we got a second letter about the FEMA maps. FEMA flood maps got updated. Although it's from the city of Worcester, it also includes areas in Shrewsbury. So if you have any questions, you can go to worcesterma.gov, planning, regulatory, and then it's the floodplain management. They can at least point you in the right direction if you live in Shrewsbury or Grafton. And then we got the notification to abutters that Maddie mentioned for project includes sand filter stormwater management at Quinsigamond State Park at Regatta Point.
Okay.
And then the last one, we got a voicemail from Nancy Castle. I believe she lives on 5th Ave here in Shrewsbury.
Correct.
She was questioning the location of a neighbor's dock, so I was wondering if one of you would want to go do a site visit and check that out.
Mr. Dockmaster?
Yes?
So this individual has a dock. It's been an ongoing dispute with the neighbor, both back and forth, actually, but this is one of those areas where they have a very small waterfront. It's on a
Yeah, they all seem to,
convex curve there, so their lines are kind of intersecting. They both put basically 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag over there. It came up last year, and, they seem to be able to work it out with them, between themselves.
Okay.
but
And-
there is a note about one of them installing a second dock on their property.
Well, I think that was present, but
Yeah.
they're both doing it.
Who
so-
would like to contact her?
So I
and
guess we
chat?
gotta, I'm not gonna look at it, because it's just a conflict for me, but.
Well, I'd like to see a picture of the plot lines, like we did previous
Okay,
tonight in our meeting,
Right.
for all commissioners to, visually see what we're talking about.
yep, this just came in yesterday, so I was wondering if you would call them, meet with them, and then we can discuss it at the next meeting.
I agree with you. I think that's a good idea, and I
Do it,
agree.
if you can do a site visit.
Right, I agree that you gotta get a top, you gotta get a look from the top and see where the lot
Yeah.
lines are. And
I can provide that information for next meeting,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
like I said,
and
this just came in.
short of that, I don't feel comfortable
Yeah.
making any determination about that at
Okay.
this
Yeah,
time.
no,
Yeah, I'm
no
not asking for-
determination,
Yeah,
just,
I'm not asking for a determination right now, I'm just kind of, you gotta get on there, I guess, and,
yeah, so if somebody, you or whoever you delegate can go, talk with her, just kind of get a lay of the land and see what it is for,
Well, they should come in front of the commission.
that's fine, I can
Yeah,
have them
both
do
of
that.
them,
I think it would be good to have a
so we can hear
commissioner.
each of their side and see where the lot lines are and where
Yeah.
exactly these docks are.
Yeah. I can invite her, but I do recommend that at least one of us go to verify, field verify what they're providing us for information, so. I may.
do you know if both docks are in the water now? Or all the docks are in?
No, like I said, I haven't even called her, I just got it this morning, so,
Alright.
yeah. So we can,
Is this a matter of giving permits, Mr. Chair?
no, they
No,
already seem to
but
be permitted.
It's a matter of determining, this often happens on Lake Quinsigamond, or I guess anywhere in the state where they'll get their permit, and then all of a sudden they'll add on to something and not either identify that they're gonna do that or prepare for it, and, or they'll move the dock. In this case, there is just nowhere to move. They were within their lines at one point, and they didn't like, where they were in their lines, but that's where they were. So, and they conformed in that regard, both the dock and the boat, but, if that shifted over at all, which I think was what
Yeah,
Ms.
that
Castle
seems-
is saying, then, that's a cause. But-
Okay, I would forego any further conversation about this, short of having the two residential abutters come in front of the commission with a description that we can all see in terms of the lot lines and where there is, if there is any, in terms of the dispute of placement of their dock or docks.
Okay,
And that's as much as I'd like to say about that right now.
okay.
All right,
You mind if I ask the address again? Is that okay?
So the voicemail just says Nancy Castle, but what I can verify, it's 11 Fifth Ave here in Shrewsbury.
yep, that's it.
Just an
It's-
academic question for my information.
Mm-hmm.
Does Shrewsbury have an advanced GIS system? I know like Grafton does, where it's easy for anyone to immediately look up and, increase the magnification to find out exactly what the lot
Yes.
lines
Yes, we
are.
do. And you can, not just that, you can actually extend the line out, so you
Yeah.
can draw on it.
The
So-
last aerial footage provided by the state was 2023. We are due for some new ones this year. They do their airplane thing. So it might not be 100% accurate, but at least you can get a rough feel for what's happening. But it's definitely like in a cove, so everything, they're all kind of pieces of a pie, so.
Yeah.
I will invite them to the next meeting, and then, yeah, I guess we'll see if somebody needs to go on site and check their,
Just an added comment,
Information.
yeah. You can ask Mass Fish and Wildlife, the Endangered Species Program. They have a greatly expanded, which is updated every a couple of years, GIS system.
Yep.
That you can get much, much better resolution.
Yep.
And they're willing to help.
yep, and they're also doing new bathymetry maps for the entire state, so we're hoping to get that this year too.
What are the addresses of Fifth Ave again?
11 Fifth Ave
11
is,
Fifth Avenue, right next door.
I mean, just looking at
I think it's
the,
9,
11, yeah, it looks like 9.
yeah.
Like I said, I just got it yesterday, I haven't even called her yet, so.
Okay, well, we've already spoke about it.
Okay.
Let's get him here,
Yep,
okay?
can do.
Thanks, that's it.
That is all I got right now.
Thank you. And so set a date for our next meeting. What do we got?
Wednesday, May 28th, is it?
That's a week after Labor Day, yes? I mean, Memorial Day.
I'll wait and pull the calendar up. I don't think I'm available on the 28th. So, would you like to shift the date either to Thursday, week before, week after? Parks and Rec would prefer that I attend the meeting with you guys to assist, so, yes. If we do it the week before, it'll be the same week as Shrewsbury Conservation, so,
Yeah, I'm not available that week. I'm not even gonna be in town. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, you can have it without me if you want, but I'm not gonna be in town.
okay, do you wanna do Thursday the 29th?
I'm available on the fourth Thursday of every month, but not the first three, so I could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I'm
that's
hesitant
Thursday.
to set precedent, like, keep shifting things
Yeah.
around. With all due respect to Parks and Rec.
Yeah, no, I know.
How
about
We
Wednesday,
can decide
June
on a date later, but I'm
Yeah.
just letting you know I'm not.
Sorry, Mike, what'd you say?
How
Well,
about
if it's
Wednesday,
recorded,
June
it's
4th?
recorded.
Yeah,
It'll be recorded anyway, so,
Yeah.
we've done.
Yeah, I know. I just, 'cause it just confuses people, which is already,
Keep it the 28th.
okay.
It'll be recorded, so she can get her minutes.
all right.
Are you available?
I'm available.
Yeah.
I'm
Let's-
available.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
The week before, I'm not available. The week before Memorial Day, I'm not gonna be.
Yep, that is, the Wednesday right after Memorial Day.
That is not available, so you'll have to check here.
I will follow up with PD. Oh. We might be able to check now.
The calendar says hold, I don't know what
I
is
don't
in
think
line.
it was us.
Yeah.
I did not put in a hold this year. We will figure that out. I'll look at some solutions.
Okay, all right.
Either a space for that date.
I prefer to,
Yeah, no, I
I
understand.
prefer to go to, if we're gonna do that, to go to June on the Wednesday,
Okay,
the first Wednesday in June. Would that work out for everybody if we end up doing that?
Yeah, that could work for me.
So I wouldn't be able to do that one. I have Berlin Conservation meeting, the first and third Wednesdays of the month.
yeah.
You guys like the roving,
Yeah.
the roving
Right.
agents?
I know.
Yeah, their meetings are like every 3 weeks on Monday. and
Yep.
I don't know.
Okay.
All right, so I will check on May 28th, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you. All right, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't think that hold was us.
All right, that said, we're good?
We're good.
All right, so let's put on there for that, and that said,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Chair.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.